Ethan joining the show now. He's the mayor of the great city of Danbury, a friend of the Ethan and Lou Show. It's Joe Cavo. Hey, Joe.
Hey, Joe.
And good morning, gentlemen. How are you today?
We're doing good. Beautiful day. Beautiful day. All right. I told you this off the air. I'm going to say it again. As quickly as I possibly can, I'm going to get to what we know to be the facts. I'm going to share you would agree, Ethan, we're in lockstep on this opinion?
Yes, we are.
Okay, so I'm going to share it for the both of us, and then we're going to kick it to you. There was an incident at the Danbury Public Library. It was uploaded to YouTube 1 week ago today. It currently has 70,000 views. This YouTuber went into the library to perform what he calls an audit. He went in with an agenda. The Danbury police officers who are featured in the video didn't know the law. He had obviously memorized the law as it pertains to filming in a public place, which the library is. It was not a great look for the Danbury Police Department. This person was not ticketed, was not arrested, is not under investigation. The Danbury Police Department has launched their own investigation. Ethan and I said this the other day, is these are complex issues with the police department in America. And I do not think you solve problems as complex as this with divisive tactics. This person's agenda is not to affect change, but to get attention, fill their ego. I've never seen anyone on video or in person in my life be more disrespectful to any police officers as this person was. He was egging them on in an attempt to get them to behave in a negative manner. I don't come away with a good taste in my mouth at all about this. Danbury Mayor Joe Cavo, what do you have to say?
So, I think I'd have to agree with you, Lou. I think that, certain people, just have to be antagonistic for some self-serving purpose. I don't believe that there's any benefit that comes from things like this. Our police officers we're not familiar with the building use policies at either the library or City Hall, nor would I expect them to be, familiar with every building use policy throughout the city. And so, this gentleman claims that he was within his rights, First Amendment rights to film, and certainly there's a lot of complexity to First Amendment law, but our city buildings, library, certain places in the city are considered to have limited public use. And basically what that comes down to is you can pretty much do whatever you want in those buildings, providing it runs along the lines of the use of that building. So let's just take the library, for example. You can go into the library to check out electronic media. You can go in to check out a book. If you go in there to film, the building's policy is the building's policy. And if the building's policy says no filming or photography, there's a reason why they have that, and they have the right to enforce that. And so I'll disagree with this YouTuber that, he has unlimited, unfettered rights. I mean, I've talked to legal counsel, throughout the last week while we've discussed this issue, and there's not a great belief that he's on the right side of this. And so, to come here and to be antagonistic, it serves no purpose. It really doesn't. And like you said, it's to fulfill his own needs, his own gratification, and so be it. People are going to be like that in the world. It's just unfortunate.
And what I would warn people against is please don't pick a hard line one side or the other on this. These are very complex, sensitive issues. I mean, we all believe in the First Amendment.
Right.
So when I sit here and defend the police, I do it because they're under siege right now. And I feel as if rather we have issues with the police and social injustice issues in this country. They need to be solved, and this is not the way to do it. And they're also they're related, but they're not. It's just so complex that this divisive, nasty tactic was not the way to go about it. And I really wish people would stop going about things this way.
Right. And Lou, I will tell you, and I don't know how you were raised, but my parents raised me that when an officer of the law told me to do something, I better do it. And I can always grieve it later. That's what the courts are for. That's how our system of justice works. You may disagree with them. You may disagree with their opinion on it, but you don't take it out in the street. It's not street justice here. We have a court system to decipher these laws and decipher the amendments and to tell folks you were on the right side of this, you were on the wrong side of this, and that's how that happens. And so, I think that you probably were raised in a similar fashion to, respect police officers and do what they say. You may not agree with it, but do what they say and then sort it out later in a more official administrative manner.
I can tell you this, that I have a friend who's a police officer in upstate New York. I won't mention his name. I won't mention the police department. The same exact thing happened. And it said audit, different guy, the same thing in a library in this particular town. I have to believe that these people are doing this because they do get 70,000 hits on YouTube. And I got to believe they're monetizing that. Wouldn't you say, Lou?
Well,
yes,
that's exactly it.
Yeah, if you are at a certain point with social media and YouTube, it can be a little complex getting it off the ground to where you can monetize it. But he seems like he might be one of those individuals who does make money off the videos.
Right, and that's pretty clear by looking at the YouTube video because every 10 seconds an advertisement pops in. And so what these folks do is they, work on it, going to places of business and saying, look, I have 70,000 hits on my YouTube site, and so you may want to advertise with me. And, oh, by the way, it's going to cost you this much money. So, they're generally operating a business under the guise of, being First and Fourth Amendment advocates. And it's a whole muddied water situation. And, First Amendment law, Fourth Amendment law can be extremely complicated. Our attorneys here in the city and our outside counsel have both, said that, there's a tremendous amount of First Amendment attorneys in the country because the law is so complicated and the amendment is complicated.
If you heard something that Joe said or I said or Ethan said that you disagree with, we respect that and we want you to know that that's okay. But what I'm begging you to do, no matter how strongly you feel on either side of this particular issue, is not to let some outsider, some punk come into our community and divide us, because that's what he is. If you watch his follow-up video, he's not bright. He just memorized the law. Anyone can do that, but please don't let this guy come in and divide you from your neighbor, even if you disagree with them.
Can we rewind for a second?
Yeah.
I want to ask you both a question. Joe, it's a comment that you had made that they had rules saying that you could not come in unless you were doing something in the library that a library does, like internet or taking the book out. Then if he could have, if you're thinking if he could have been arrested, why didn't the Danbury police do just that? Because they weren't familiar with the situation?
No, I don't think that. I think that they were trying to just de-escalate what was happening there. It didn't. I don't think it arrived to. We create laws and we create ordinances all the time, and a lot of times we have to leave the application of that law up to the discretion of police officers. It's not. You can't write a law that's so cut and clear that, it fits every situation. So there's a little bit of latitude, a little bit of leeway. Our police officers, felt that it didn't rise to, something that required him being arrested. He did say that he would leave. If you were going to arrest me, he'd rather not spend the night in Danbury's jail. He would rather leave than do that. And so that was the end purpose. That was the end goal, that they got him out of the library. And, the problem I have with it, some of the problems I have with it is, it's a crazy world. And you don't know who people are. And you don't know what their intention is. Are they filming the library to maybe come back and do something nefarious? And they are looking to, be able to see exits and doors and windows and things like that. It makes me very nervous. And so, there's children in our library. You don't know if somebody is a pedophile. You don't know if somebody is a registered sex offender. It's an interesting world. And so, you really want to know who's there and what their purpose is if they're doing something that's outside of the policies. And so I think you should have the right to be able to ask them those questions.
I would be very, if I was a police officer right now, I wouldn't be confident, and I wouldn't feel as if anybody has my back, and I'd feel as if a lot of my tools have been stripped away. And you know, we have these social justice issues that these police are training in new ways on how to de-escalate and deal with these social issues on the street. And now you go out there and you have somebody like this trying to manipulate them and embarrass them at a time where things are very raw.
Right.
We just keep taking away their ability to do their job. And what were they asking? They were asking this guy to leave a library.
Right.
This is wild.
I know. And the thing is, you know, the thing that, you know, comes out of this and comes out of the investigation into this is that, you know, we get a better look at our building policies. We get a closer look at them. We go over, review, adapt, change, and then we'll disseminate that information out to the PD so that in future cases they have that information. They know exactly where the city stands and what the building policies are. And so, you know, from some of this, you know, some good will come out of this, for both sides. But, you know, it's not the way to go about it.
I got a fun text message just now from Joey Etch. He says, none of that is how YouTube works at all. So I got it wrong.
Okay. He knows.
Which is fine. You know. I figured I'd lighten the mood. It's a difficult subject, and I'm just pleading with our local area residents to respect.
Our folks, Lou, have been great here.
Yeah, I think so.
They've been extremely supportive. I haven't really had any, you know, large amount of people screaming at me. I have had that happen, but they're not from this area. They're from all over different parts of the country. I mean, some ridiculous subject lines like, you know, your tyrant police officers viciously attacked this resident. And it's like, where do you come up with that? Did you watch the same video I watched? Because, you know...
Listen, if we have the conversation like adults and we respect each other's opinions as neighbors and we listen to each other, then some good will come out of this. But don't let this moron manipulate. He thinks he's smarter than us. Right. We are smarter than him, and we can prove that by having adult conversations with each other about these complex matters.
Absolutely. And I couldn't agree more with you, Lou. It's definitely not the way to go about it. There are much better ways to go about it, and it's just not productive.
All right, Joe. Hopefully next week we're talking about shenanigans and hijinks that we create. You know, fun times.
Oh, did I tell you I was going to be on vacation next week? Oh no.
Wow.
Well, listen, you're entitled to a vacation. If you have to take one, you take one. You just let us know.
I'm not taking. I'll be here.
What is the Camp David of Danbury? Is there one? We need one.
Yeah, that's a good point. Maybe I should start looking into that.
Okay. Danbury Mayor Joe Cavo, we appreciate your time as always. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe.
Guys, have a great weekend. Thanks very much.
You got it.
Okay, bye-bye.